we're going to be focusing on the folded and stitched right side of the bodice. We are going to mark the placement for 2 buttonholes. We would like one buttonhole to be horizontal and the other to be vertical. You may sew your buttonholes anywhere from the top neckline to 2 inches above the waist. Please do not go any lower than that. I'm going to put mine pretty high up on the bodice. You'll find that you have buttons that have been provided for you. We have to do an equation to make sure we know the length of the buttonhole that we need to make to fit our button. As you can see, I have my 1 shank button. It's in a cutesy floral shape, and I have a 2-hole button. As long as you have 1 shanked button, it does not matter whether your regular button is going to be 2 or 4 holes. What we need to do though is actually measure the width of our button. When I'm holding this to my clear view, you can tell that the button is a 1/2 inch wide. We need to add that to how deep the button is. If you look in this clear view, you can see that the button is about 1/8 of an inch wide, and then we need to add another 1/8 of an inch. Therefore, I have 1/2 inch plus 1/8 of an inch plus 1/8 of an inch, which is a 1/2 inch plus 1/4, which is 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to put my 2-hole button as my vertical buttonhole along center front, and I'm going to mark it with 2 notches, and technically also mark it down the center, which is the stitch that I have just finished. For my shank button, I'm going to do the same thing where I am measuring. This button is again about a 1/2 inch. However, the depth is going to be far more because of that shank. You can tell that it's going to be 1/4 of an inch deep. So we have 3/4 plus 1/8 of an inch, which ends up being 7/8 of an inch. That is going to be my horizontal button. You want the mark to start 3/8 of an inch in from the folded edge, and then we're going to mark 7/8 and connect them. We're using our ruler just to make sure that we have a straight line drawn that we can follow. So I have a 7/8 inch long buttonhole for my shank button and a 3/4 inch buttonhole mark for my 2-hole button. The next step is going to rely heavily on the machine that you are using. Please reference your machine manual for the correct way to sew a buttonhole.